Assalamu alaikum, good morning, Khushamdi, Ji Ayanu, Khuyamorkha, Sasrekal, Namaste, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Well This Morning, especially on this very auspicious day. Today is the 11th of August. And of course, in commemoration of so many brilliant things that Pakistan is very proud of, today happens to be the National Minority Day, ladies and gentlemen. I am Shaza Hashmi with Well This Morning, and for all of those who are tuning in, I really hope your day goes great from, this onward as well, and you have an amazing breakfast to begin with, because we all know, and science has proven, that the first meal of the day, that is the breakfast, should be the heaviest and the healthiest, because of course you need that kind of energy. So we'll stay fit, stay energized, and keep us in your prayers as well. Now, coming back to the 11th of August, I'm now going to take you back to 1947 as well, where for the first time, the first president of Pakistan, Kaidasam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, was in conversation, or rather speaking to the Constituent Assembly, where of course he made so many other points. A new country was starting up. We're really proud of that as well. But one of the very important matters or issues that were discussed in that speech is something that we really need to talk about today. Well, minorities, religious minorities, when we talk about, ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan is definitely the Islamic Republic, but there are so many other religions residing within the vicinity of Pakistan as well, other than Muslims. We have Hindus, we have Sikhs, we have Christians, so many other religious minorities as well. And the best way to move forward in any state or community is actually when all the religious minorities and even the majorities work together for the betterment of the state and work hand in hand. And you know what? This is what happened back in 1947 and even before that, throughout the struggle of independence. It was not only our Muslim heroes who actually sacrificed everything to realize the dream of Pakistan. Along with our Muslim heroes, a lot of our Hindu, Sikh, Christian brethren were, of course, working with the Muslims and sacrificing a lot. When you come to think of it, when you come to think of land that has a lot of Muslim majority, it's really hard for a religious minority to leave everything behind in another country and take the decision or take the pledge to move in a country like Pakistan with, of course, Muslim majority. And they did that. So first of all, kudos to all the great sacrifices and all the efforts made by the non-Muslim minorities of Pakistan, which have actually helped in nation building ever since 1947 and before that as well. Until date, we know there are numerous people, especially belonging to the religious minorities in Pakistan, who have made a great name for Pakistan and for themselves as well. This is what definitely we are going to be talking about. One more important thing we need to discuss. You know, our religion, Islam, how we always discuss Islam means peace, and this is literally what it means. And this is literally the message that it preaches as well. So while we also discuss, the vision of Kaidasam Muhammad Ali Jinnah and how he wanted Pakistan to be, we will definitely be discussing the rights of minorities in the light of our beautiful religion, Islam, as well. I'm going to quote one of the ahadith over here, and this is not exactly word to word, so this is the mafhum of the hadith, which says that beware, anyone who wrongs any Muslim, non-Muslim minority especially. Do not be unjust to them, do not curtail their rights, for if you do wrong to them, or just be unjust to them in any terms, of course the last prophet, Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, will complain against you on the day of judgment. It's just beautiful, your own religion protecting the rights of non-Muslim minorities as well. And of course, I have an amazing panel of guests over here to begin the conversation with, ladies and gentlemen. One more thing, the flag of Pakistan, the beautiful green and white flag of Pakistan, represents the harmony that exists between Muslims and non-Muslim minorities in the country as well. While, again, it is definitely the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, it does not turn a blind eye to the rights of non-Muslim minorities living over here. And to discuss that very quickly, I'm going to be introducing my apt panel over here. First of all, we have one of our very favorite religious scholars over here, who happens to be the director of Abdul Wadud Center for Quranic Sciences. He is none other than Professor Dr. Abdul Basit. Hello, assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
And we love to have you every time because, of course, we get to learn a lot every time you're here.
It is my pleasure always.
All right, moving on, we have someone who happens to be the member of the National Commission for Minorities as well. He's none other than Mr. Albert David. Hello, assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Albert. And next to Mr. Albert, we have someone, again, who happens to, well, she's been a student, of course, but she's been very active in, asking for and then sort of, providing rights to the non-religious minorities over here in the country. She's a social activist. She's none other than Ms. Jaya Jaggi. Hello, assalamu alaikum. Namaste, Sasriyakal. How are you?
I'm fine.
All right, so to begin with, I think I'm going to move on to Dr. Basit Saab over here. Sir, to begin with, of course, the religious importance of, the rights of minorities in Pakistan. Let us know about it.
Yes, first of all, this is Minorities Day,
Yeah.
and we are commemorating it because of 11th August 1947 speech of Kaidasam. He delivered to First Constituent Assembly, and
Yes.
that is, in fact, Father of Nation is telling that what sort of Pakistan government, Pakistan state, and Pakistan state affairs would be.
Right.
And very clearly, he mentioned that minorities would be having equal right. They would be free to practice their religion, their
Absolutely.
culture, and they would be protected by constitution and by the state as well. So this is very important that we must take guidance from Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah's very famous speech on 11th of August 1947.
Right,
He
absolutely.
himself said that you are free to go to your mosques and your temples and any other places of worship. So he mentioned this thing from the very outset of this new nascent state, Islamic
Yes.
Republic of Pakistan. And Pakistan came into being on 14th of August, but he mentioned this on 11th of August to the First Constituent Assembly of
What a
Pakistan.
visionary, of course. I mean, we
Yeah,
definitely
yeah,
need to
yeah,
dig
of
deeper
course,
into
of
the
course.
entire meaning of what he really meant to say before even, Pakistan, a few days before it came into being as well. But ladies and gentlemen, right now I have someone very special to be in conversation with, and he's definitely going to be joining us online from Lahore. He is, well, the first Sikh to be appointed as an assistant controller in one of the very famous universities, not only in Pakistan, but in the entire Asia as well. It's Punjab University. We have with us online Mr. Prashant Singh. Hello, namaste, sat sri akal, Mr. Prashant
Hello.
Singh. Can you hear
Ji,
us?
thank you, Ji. I am here.
How are you?
Ji, fine and blessed. What about you?
I'm doing great. First of all, congratulations on being the first one from your community to become an assistant controller in the university. How does
Thank
it
you.
feel?
I am honored.
All right. So, since we already mentioned that this is the first time someone has been appointed at this post from your community, you
Yes.
must definitely, I mean, feel proud, you already mentioned. But how has your community been taking this? And what does this mean to you, this gesture?
We have positive gestures toward the nation of Pakistan that I am the very first person from my community after the British Empire who have been selected on this gazetted post at the largest academic institution of Pakistan. As I am the student, also student of this alma mater, so I feel proud that I am serving in this institution from where I have got in my education. So, on the point of Minority Day, I want to say that we are also proud of this nation that in the start of our beginning, as on 11th August, my Qaid has declared that all are equal and all are free to practice their each and everything, and
Absolutely.
they can promote their culture, they can profess and practice their religion. So, on these points, I can say that we are equal and we have no discrimination in any terms.
Absolutely, Mr. Prashant, and this is why, first of all, I need to mention as well, we are really proud to actually have you within our country and make a part of the community as well. You are our pride, we really have to say that. Now, 11th of August, since we are definitely discussing about how this day, what this day means to Pakistanis of all communities and, all areas as well, you mentioned you've also been a student to this institution. What do you think are some of the activities through which we can promote this sense of harmony among different religious groups in Pakistan?
First of all, we have to gather all the sects, religions, and communities on the one single platform as per the ideology of Pakistan, because ideology of Pakistan is also being taken from the ideology of Islam and Islamic
Absolutely.
principles. So, first of all, we have to go towards the Islamic principles. What does they say? Islamic principles are full of harmony and promotion of interfaith harmony. So they can promote freedom, equality, tolerance, social justice, and a place for minorities. As there is a majority of Muslims and they follow Islam. So Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, has also cleared that you cannot uh, put the minorities on in any sense of pressure. And
Absolutely.
Quran also declares that unto you your religion and unto me my religion. So
Absolutely.
by following these principles, we can take our nation at a single platform. And one thing I want to add here, there should be a transparency in our curriculum, in our syllabus.
Yes.
So
Definitely.
our nation should be clear about this. And our youngsters who don't have all religions in their surroundings, if they are studying any discriminatory material in their syllabus, so it may be a cause of their biasness or any other thing. So one thing we should be clear that there should be a transparent curriculum at all levels from pre-nursery to PhD.
Yes, Mr. Prashant, I totally do agree with you. And this is actually one of the points that we will now discuss in the show after, of course, we're done talking with you as well. Thank you so much for being able to join us early in the morning, especially on this auspicious day of the 11th of August that we are observing as National Minority Day. This was Mr. Prashant Singh, the only and the first Sikh Assistant Controller of Punjab University, speaking to us on behalf of the entire Sikh community of Pakistan as well. Thank you so much once again. You are our pride. And now moving on to my brilliant guest over here in the studios, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Albert, who happens to be the member of the National Commission for Minorities. Sir, today is the 11th of August. While you do explain to us the importance of this particular day, that you believe to be how important it is, do also let us know what you have planned for this day.
Okay. To start with, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to be over here. 11th of August.
Yeah.
Symbolically, it is called the Day of Minorities, the Minorities Days. But I think we have to go back to the spirit of Qaid's speech.
Yes.
And the Qaid's speech, the main essence and the main spirit was equality.
Absolutely.
And where he ensured that all citizens of Pakistan are equal and the state will treat them as equal citizens of Pakistan.
True.
So what I think and what I believe is that the Minorities Day is not just a day that the minorities should be celebrating.
Yes.
It is a day that the whole of Pakistan, every citizen of Pakistan should be celebrating this day.
Of course.
Symbolically as the Minority Day, but in its true essence as the Equality Day.
Most definitely, yes.
And sort of going beyond that, sort of we have to look at the traits of leadership which Kaidasam had. I mean, someone just mentioned that he had a vision, he was a visionary.
Yes.
But on the other hand, I think one of the important traits that he had was being inclusive. And he was able to rally lots of people from lots of communities around him.
Absolutely.
I mean, though he was working to establish a state for Muslims, but then he had the support of Christians,
Yes.
then he had the support of Sikhs, because people were looking at a great leader who had a vision for a welfare state, who had a vision for a state where everyone's rights would be protected.
And they trusted him.
Exactly. And, I happened to visit the tomb of Anarkali, which is now a small museum.
Right.
And I saw literally letters written by Sikh community, written by Christian community to Kaidasam saying that they would want their areas to be included into Pakistan. So that is where we see, Kaidasam as a leader.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, things have not happened the way Kaidasam wanted. I mean, there have been many, instances where things, or I would say sort of we derailed. But I think we now have the opportunity.
Yes.
We have talked about Qaid's speech for 73 years. It is now
Let's put
time.
it to practice.
Exactly. It's now time that we implement it. Let us
Absolutely.
make sure that we shape Pakistan into a Pakistan that was according to the message of Kaidasam.
That's just beautiful, Mr. Albert. And you know, I really love where you raised the point of inclusivity, which was probably, let's say, a very less shadowed over in the recent years as well. We definitely need to come back to that as well. But moving on to you, Jaya, you happen to be a social activist. Let us know for how many years, first of all. Now, I was in conversation with you before the show as well. You told me a little something about how growing up, you never felt discriminated, but things changed later on. Do you mind sharing the story with us?
Yes, I would love to share my story. I grew up in a city which had the only Hindu house, and I believe I did not face any discrimination during my academic career or during my professional career. People were really supported. We used to celebrate the festivals at our house, and all the Muslim friends used to visit us. So I believe I did not face that kind of discrimination people might be facing. I would say being a blessed person. One thing that contributed might be being a strong financial or an academic background, I would say.
Okay.
So that's my story. But yes, if I talk about the people living in different areas, there is, I would say, yes, there is a bit of discrimination.
Okay.
Attitudes have been shaped due to some hate materials in curriculum, or because they have never met the people from any minority community. This is
Okay.
one of the another major reason people face
Exposure,
discrimination.
right?
Yes, and I would say that there is no concept of coexistence or pluralism, and if we include those concepts and let people understand how important an inclusive and peaceful society is,
Right.
I would say we would be able to shape the attitudes in towards positive direction.
That is definitely true, Jaya, and we definitely need to talk about that in detail. And you know how you mentioned we need to, of course, incorporate some newer ideas of coexistence in our curriculum as well. This is something, you know, Mr. Prashant over the call said as well. We will come to that. I do agree with you. I stand by the fact that you just mentioned. But now coming back to our religious scholar over here, Mr. Abdul Basit. Dr. Saab, when we talk about Pakistan now we're not talking about Pakistan 73 years ago, all right? At this point in time, we as Pakistanis, our premier as well, all of us, we aspire for Pakistan to be a welfare state, or at least on the patterns of Riyasat-e-Madina. And to realize that is definitely, you know, patience and tolerance in each other's religious beliefs and practices as well. How should we go about it? Are we like really far away from achieving that? Are we really close to that? Can we even do that? Let us know.
In fact, as I earlier mentioned, the father of nation had vision.
Yes.
And he brought us with this lovely country through his struggle.
Of course.
So we must follow not only the sayings of Kaidasam, but also we must know from where inspiration come to Kaidasam.
Yeah.
You rightly mentioned the state of Medina, created by Prophet, peace be upon him. What was the model over there? And we must know that how tolerant Prophet, peace be upon him, was to all humanity.
Of course.
Because you know he is Rahmatul lil Alameen.
Absolutely.
So his mercy was for everyone.
Yeah.
And he exhibited whatever he feel for minorities in his own state was Charter of Medina.
Yeah.
All communities living in Medina were part and parcel of that Charter of Medina. We call it Misake Medina.
Right.
So they have their right saved, and at the same time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying in Quran Majid, La ikraha fid deen. So La ikraha fid deen means you cannot force anyone to come to Islam.
Right.
So there is no any permission in Islam for forced conversion.
That's just beautiful.
Prophet, peace be upon him, himself
Yeah.
preached through his own character, his seerah, and his attributes. So people, those who were coming to Islam because of the character of Prophet, peace be upon him,
Right, of
himself.
course.
So we have to follow the same. And the question you asked, that what is going on now? So not particularly in this what we are discussing, we are not achieved yet what was the vision of Kaidasam for Pakistan from every aspect.
Right.
And particularly this 11th August speech, in fact, guiding lines for all of us. Qaid-e-Azam not only mentioned this pluralism in his speech,
Yeah.
but he also mentioned this thing, that what are the duties of all the citizens, including minorities.
Absolutely.
At the same time, he also mentioned that there must not be nepotism, favoritism,
Right.
black marketing,
Black marketing, yes.
or everything. He mentioned this thing. And he also said all of us that we must follow whatever is in Islam, and Islam is telling us that every human being is important.
Absolutely.
And Prophet, peace be upon him, said that al-khalqu ayalullah, that all people are in fact family of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, means created by Allah subhanahu wa
Yeah.
ta'ala. So we must be careful to every creature of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So
Right.
this was the vision Qaid-e-Azam extracted from the teachings of Islam, and then mentioned not only through his sayings but his practice as well.
Absolutely.
And he was very caring, and that is why you rightly mentioned that even in our flag, the white strip
Represents.
represents our minorities. I have lot of experience to teach in different parts of Pakistan to non-Muslim students.
Okay.
They were as brilliant, as comfortable, and as capable as any other one else. And they were, as my subject is other than Quranic sciences, history. So I taught history to non-Muslims, and they were very happy to know the struggle for Pakistan and each and everything. So all Pakistanis of all caste and creed, they are part of us.
Most definitely.
And we must celebrate this thing, that we have this beautiful bouquet
Absolutely.
in Pakistan.
And you very beautifully actually described it, that yes, we coexist together. We are a beautiful bouquet, and together we are called Pakistan. And just before moving on, I need to mention some of the very, I want to say, important names over here who happen to be religious minorities of Pakistan, but actually have made a great name and brought a great name to Pakistan and done their part in nation building as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about the likes of the group captain Cecil Chaudhary, who happens to be a fighter pilot, also a human rights activist as well. Amongst others, of course, we know about Rana Bhagwan Das, who was the first Sikh Chief Justice, Hindu rather, Chief Justice of Pakistan as well. Along with others, we will definitely, keep discussing about them too. But moving on to Mr. Albert over here. Now, I had a different question for you in mind, but now I actually think about something I was reading just the other day. And when we talk about minority rights, there were sort of two arguments given in terms of universality and then, sort of a communist approach. So when we talk about minorities, are we talking about them as humans, or are we talking about them as citizens? You know what I mean? So if I were to talk about Christian minorities' rights in Pakistan, so do we need them to have their rights, humanitarian rights, which they deserve by birth, or do we need, them to have their citizenship rights, like an identity of Pakistan, or is it both of them together? What do you understand with this?
I think both of them together.
Okay.
I mean, if we look at it, first of all, we are human beings.
Of course.
We are humans, and when we are humans, and we are created by one Creator.
Yes.
Right?
We
And
all
He's
agree with
created,
that.
and we have been created equally. So being humans is our first identity, right?
Yes.
Then it comes our nationality, and that is being Pakistanis. And when we talk about Pakistanis, that then brings us the citizen roles, the rights of a citizen in a state. And I think, yes, we should be looking at equal human beings in the first instance, but as equal citizens in the sense of a country.
Okay.
I would just want to, talk about two things which Jaya mentioned and then Dr. mentioned. It was about curriculum and history. Dr. mentioned history. Curriculum, as you know, that sort of at the minute the government is looking at sort of one uniform curriculum,
Right.
and I think that is a very important aspect at this time of Pakistan's history. If we are working at one curriculum, let's make sure that we do not forget the religious minorities.
Yes.
Let's make sure that we do not force the children from different faiths and beliefs to only learn about one religion.
Got
Let's
it.
give them the opportunity to learn and study about their own religion and comparative religions as well. Let's not just sort of make them or force them to do that. On the other hand, Dr. Sab mentioned history.
Yeah.
Our textbooks are missing And from the day one, they are missing the important role that the non-Muslims of Pakistan have played in the creation of Pakistan. And I'll give you one example.
Okay.
This part of Punjab, which is part of Pakistan, it only became part of Pakistan because of the vote of the 4 Christian members of the Punjab Legislative Assembly at that time.
Right.
Right? And that is missing. You know, look at Pakistan. 60% of Pakistan is Punjab.
Of course.
Right?
So huge.
And it became part of Pakistan because of the votes of those Christian members of the assembly. But we do not see that mentioned anywhere in the textbooks. Why is that? Why is that? I mean, they voted to become part of Pakistan. They were Pakistanis after that. So I think we should recognize that role. Similarly, you mentioned Cecil Chaudhry. Why aren't we telling the children of Pakistan, I'm not saying to the Christian or the Hindu children, why aren't we telling the children of Pakistan about Cecil Chaudhry? Why can't he make it to the textbooks? Right? Why can't we, you know, bring that sort of, grow a generation, I would say, grow a generation that thinks that Pakistan, when it became, or after, you know, it came into existence, its development, its prosperity, you know, its defense, every person, every citizen of Pakistan played its role into it. And I think we can only do that if we make that part of the curriculum, if we tell our children, our future generations, about the role of minorities. Otherwise, slowly, and we can feel that it is diminishing.
You know what, we really hope not, and inshallah it will not as well, because you know what, we do definitely recognize that it was not only Muslims who played their part in, you know, making Pakistan what it is today. And along with, you know, Cecil, we definitely need to mention a lot of others as well. When we talk about the armed forces, or, you know, different serving sectors of Pakistan as well, a lot of Christians are actually serving there as well. I belong to a military background. I have shared my postings with a lot of Christian friends as well. And to mention some of them, of course, Brigadier Retired Simon Sharif, Chief Justice Alvin Bobby, and also Robert Cornelius, we have to mention, you know, among others too. And we definitely, so, you know, before we actually move on to any other point, I feel like we have established that one of the main issues that probably people are not more open or tolerant to other beliefs is the curriculum that we're studying in school. So let's just stick to that for now.
Sure.
All right. So Jaya, when we talk about the curriculum, you said that you have been, of course, studying in Pakistan your entire life. So you have definitely studied the curriculum the same as I did. And you had some reservations with that. You let me know yours, and then we can, of course, you know, come to a solution-based conversation as well.
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, I did have, and currently we are working on it as well. I would say, as I stated earlier, that people have not met the minorities. People have never seen religious minorities. All they know is the word Hindu. And you know, this word sometimes make you feel embarrassed, because the thing we have inculcated in the minds of people is that they are not good species, or they are inferiors. And this is why even with some other words, with Sikh word or with the word Christians, people might not feel that way, but with the Hindus, you feel that reservation or an hesitation. Another thing that I experienced is, I went somewhere and the people asked, are you a Hindu? Oh, Hindus look like us? We never knew it.
Really?
So it means that people have never went out of those shells of them. They have never met the people from other communities, other beliefs. They have never sat together at one table, talking to each other, delivering ideas, opinions, asking why you believe that, why we believe this, and then having a good conversation just for sake of getting information and knowledge and broadening your horizon. So this is one of the reasons I would say. Apart from it, yes, the curriculum, especially when we talk about Pak studies, we do mention that people had many sacrifices, but we do not mention the sacrifices made by other people. It's always said that history is written by blood, and it had the blood of Hindus, Sikhs, Christians, Muslims, all.
Of course.
People migrated.
No denying that.
They were forced to flee from one part of the country to the other part, leaving behind their belongings, their families, and how hard it was. And I know people, I know the females who jumped into the wells, I know the people who were attacked on the trains. They were all Sikhs, Muslim. So it's not only a one kind of community who sacrificed for this country. There were people who were living happily together for so many years, and I don't know how that seed of partition was sown actually. And now the whole narrative is built on that. that in our curriculum, especially in our social studies or in Urdu books, whenever these words come or whenever we talk about Hindus, Sikhs, so we always mention the negative stories.
Right.
Or some stories are even fabricated, and we should admit it.
When we talk about students of Pakistan who then get a chance to go abroad and study with, of course, in a more inclusive community, when they come back, they are really open-minded. So what is it that we're lacking that we need to teach from the basics, let's say Montessori, so that a Pakistani grows up to understand all those things? Dr. Basit, what do you think about it? Are we missing on something in terms of the curriculum?
Yes, there's a lot of room for improvement. And the thing is that now single curriculum is going on.
Right.
I'm part of that activity. So we are taking care of whatever is in curriculum and what should be. And the thing is that from the very, what we could say, initial stages, we are including now that we must have knowledge of all the religions. So at least we must know that these are the religions. And every religion has ethics, every religion has values. So we have to tell that whatever is in the globe, in then perspective to our own region, and our own region whole history, we must have something to tell. So because that in the initial stages of our life, in our primary classes, whatever we have learnt, that is long lasting.
Yes.
Is that clarity is there, then the clarity is for whole life. So this is good time that now almost this consensus has been developed between provinces, between different communities, and I hope that Pakistan will achieve single curriculum, and that would be suitable for every citizen of Pakistan.
Right, absolutely. I love where you said that every citizen of Pakistan, regardless of where you belong, what sect you belong to, or what belief you belong to as well. Moving on to Mr. Albert over here, I do realize we're very short on time, but we need to, of course, discuss so many things. But since we have just a few minutes left, let's talk about solutions. And you both, Jaya and Mr. Albert, since you are on the committee, that's why I'm asking you. For today, the 11th of August, what are the activities planned? What should people be looking forward to if they want to join one of your seminars or to be in conversation with you? Let's begin with you, Mr. Albert.
Okay, I mean, as Jaya mentioned, there is an online seminar tomorrow. Yes. I'm also part of that, and we would be talking about, as sort of as we have discussed, sort of is the state playing its part, sort of to bring everyone together? Right. I mean, if there are any concerns that we have, so I think it will be a very good forum, and I think there are lots of young people who are becoming part of that, which I think is very encouraging, and we need to bring in the young people into these sorts of discussion. And just going back to one more thing, which is the diversity in Pakistan. The cultural, the religious diversity that we have in Pakistan. And I think it is now time that we bring that attitudinal change. I mean, it's a good thing, and I say this openly at all forums, that the good thing is that we don't have a sort of a state-sponsored persecution in Pakistan. We don't have that. Things happen. They happen in any society. Incidents happen, they happen in any society. But
on individual levels mostly.
Exactly, individual level. But I think the state has a very important role, and the state has to be proactive. The state has to be preventative, and we should not just have that fighting approach, that where we wait for an incident to happen and then everyone just jumps in and tries to sort of find a solution. So I think the responsibility of the state, as Dr. has said, as Jaya has said, the essence is, let's just grow a generation that loves each other, that wants to live in peace, and whose first identity is that I am a Pakistani.
Of course, most definitely so. What about you, Jaya? Your closing note on this special day?
Yes. Currently, I'm working on two projects. One is social and economic empowerment of minorities, and the other is Minority Leadership Development Program with Center for Social Justice. So we have planned a seminar that would be streamed live in dozens of districts of Pakistan today at 10. And everyone is welcome to join that. We would be definitely having some keynote speeches on the sacrifices and the contribution religious minorities, ethnic minorities, and definitely have done. Apart from it, we should be addressing some issues, because I know there is a positive side. I
Right.
have been grown up in a society with a lot of love and appreciation.
All right.
But yes, this is my responsibility because I want to see a peaceful country.
Of course.
So this is my responsibility to address the issues as well.
Absolutely. So
I do
where should
acknowledge
we,
the love.
Where can we find the live stream? On Facebook somewhere? Is there a name
Yes.
that we should know?
Yes, Center for Social Justice, the Facebook, on their Facebook page you can find it.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you so much for being here, you guys. Thank you so much for sort of gracing my morning and my audience's morning as well with all these brilliant educational notes. Dr. Basit Saab, Mr. Albert, Ms. Jaya, and also we had Mr. Prashant Singh on the call earlier as well. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are celebrating the National Minorities Day. It is the 11th of August. And towards the end, I just want to close this show with one thing that we all know our Qaid said almost 73 years ago, and that is you are free to go to your temples, to your mosques, to your places of worship, whatever they are. And this is not the business of the state what belief you belong to or what you want to practice. We are all Pakistanis. We all share the same identity, and that is Pakistan. We are Pakistan. Pakistan is us. I really hope you learned something from us. Write us on our Facebook page to let us know with the name of World This Morning. On Twitter, we are with the name of World This Morning without a G. On YouTube, we are with the name of PTV World, and then you can search for World This Morning, and the repeat of this particular show you can catch at 5 past midnight tonight. Till the next time, take care. Good morning.